And on Funky Fridays with YAYA today, we have the DJ, music producer hailing from Brazil, Will Munns, also known as Will without the I. Will is an LA-based music producer, and he's joining us today to talk about his latest single, and which is KINDAFUNK, and his other singles that he's been producing up to date this year. So welcome to the show, Will. Really pleased to have you on board. For the last 5 years, you've been, in your own words, making waves in the LA dance scene. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, Yaya. It's a pleasure to be in your show. And yeah, I've been, digging into electronic music this past 4 or 5 years, and it's been incredible because I've been in music for a while now, and in some way electronic music find me again because I started listening electronic music back in my childhood, and I noticed that I started getting more and more into it, and when I saw it, I had like a bunch of songs and said, okay, I think I can start something here.
So you started off, that was your first love then, house music. So you didn't start off, that was, what was your first song that you produced then? Was it a house song? Was it an electronic dance song?
Oh my God, I think the very first electronic song that I produced was actually a remix for this. I'm from Brazil. I'm just like, I just love the music of my country, so I need to pay some homage to it. So I made a remix for this guy called Marcus Valle. Was not an official remix, I just did because I wanted to do it, and it sounded like so bad, but at the same time, I love it. I love the vibe, the new vibe that I gave it to it, and I said, oh, okay, I think I like this, It was very disco. Yeah, it was very disco house type of music, and yeah, it was incredible.
And and your song is absolutely fantastic, "Sweet and Sour," which is the one you released recently. You said on your Instagram that someone said it sounded a bit like an anime intro, which is really interesting. What did you think about that when they said that? I asked my daughter, and she said, "Well, a little bit."
So I love that because I love animes. I think it's another passion of mine. I have multiple passions. Of course, music is the number one. But yeah, anime is right there too. And so when I heard that, I just got so happy, that's awesome. I had no intention whatsoever to make anime song, I think it's just, I was very glimmery, very sweet, anime songs, they have a lot of female power there, and I don't know, I think it's just matched a little bit.
Well, even in terms of the color palette, it's quite anime, isn't it? It's kind of very pink and the bright kind of colors. I love your Instagram page because it's so bright and it's so colorful. I mean, your new KINDAFUNK, you've kind of gone a little bit more in the kind of retro colors, haven't you? In the browns, whatever. Yeah, but Sweet and Sour is pink. Do you kind of follow those kind of color palettes in your every song? Because with your açai song, that's kind of the color of açai, isn't it? So
it
everything
is,
that you do is kind of mixed in with the actual sort of, the actual tune, isn't it? The actual track that you're doing. So I love that. You kind of sort of mold it based on the actual, the actual track that you're doing. So yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so funny you say that because that's my main intention, is not only to provide a good song for people, is to provide an experience overall. So these days we consume music with the eyes too. So if you don't have a nice video, or even now Spotify has Canvas and they're releasing the new thing is clips, they're gonna have stories on Spotify and everything, because they noticed that Joe Rogan has a podcast with video in Spotify, which is an audio platform. So I try to always to bring more and more the actual sensorial experience to my songs. That's why I sort of colors and everything.
Because I think these days, you're not just a music producer. It's not just about the music, is it, these days? And I think a lot of sort of artists are discovering that you are essentially a content creator, aren't you? And So the music is one part of that, but the other parts are how you dress, how you present yourself, the videos, and everything that goes along with you as an artist, isn't it? So yeah, it is interesting, and I think very much the younger generation is sort of getting on board with that. I think the older musicians are finding it a little bit more difficult to kind of grasp that concept that they are content producers, because they see themselves as just purely musicians, don't they? And they think, oh, I go out and I'm going to play. But as we've noticed in COVID, it's not always possible to do that, is there? So we have to be producing our own content. And interestingly, I mean, I did have a look on Clubhouse, and they were saying that we as artists or people, as individuals, need to own our own content rather than putting it on all these platforms like IG and Twitter and such like, because it becomes theirs, doesn't it? So yeah, directing them to your website and making sure that you're looking after your own kind of music. So how did it all start for you? So obviously you started as a musician yourself. I see a guitar in the background there. Do you play any instruments yourself? Or okay.
I
so
do.
What do you play?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do. I play a bunch of stuff actually. I started. I don't consider young, but people started at 5. I started at 13. I'm currently 28, so 15 years into this. And throughout these years, I had the chance to learn guitar, keyboards, and singing. I took a lot of singing lessons. I consider myself more of a singer than anything else, because the instrument that I study the most is my own voice. But at the same time, the way I started, it was back in, as I said, I was 13 years old. And it's so funny, this story, because I was just watching the movie with my friends from school at that time. This movie called School of Rock with Jack Black. I don't know if you're...
Yeah, I know it, yeah.
So oh my God, it's my favorite movie of all times. And we were watching that, and by the end of the movie, I was blown away. I said, oh my God, I really need to do that. I was impressed, because I was 13 by that time, and those kids, they were in the same age, And so I look at them and say, oh, I need to do that. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And since then, I started a band with those friends. We started a band. It probably last a year or so. And I kept going. All of them stopped music, but I kept going. So no, this is what I want to do.
So you had that fire inside your belly, and it stayed, isn't it? Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? But if you were, I'm just interested, because obviously you said you started off with house music. You loved house music, but even though you were inspired by School of Rock, if you were to give an album to a friend, what album would you give them? I'm always intrigued by, because some artists, I would say my friend Simon Bartholomew, he is funk music, but he actually likes rock. Yeah. Right. So I'm always interested in people who actually produce, a certain music style, whether it's actually their real passion. So I'm interested to know what you would choose as a present for a friend, as an album.
Ooh, that's so hard of a question. I think it depends where this friend is from. So if he or she are from the United States, I probably would try to bring another culture from them, just another perspective. So I would give them a classic album from Brazil, maybe Banda Black Rio is one of the famous bands and big bands funk in Brazil. They have great instrumentals from the 70s, so they have that 70s sounds. Yeah, they're great. My second song of last year, Come On Over, is a sample that I extracted from Black Rio. Yeah, that band is incredible. I even did a remix on one of their songs, and they're very powerful, Earth, Wind, and Fire type of power. So they have a big brass section, and it's all mostly is instrumental, and I don't know, I just love it. And if it was a friend from Brazil that is trying to learn more electronic music, or even I think I would go with Discovery, Daftpunk.
Daftpunk, yeah. Can't really beat a bit of Daftpunk, can you? Actually, KINDAFUNK was a tribute to Daftpunk. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. It started as I started that song last year, beginning of last year, as a kind of a joke, because I was watching Technologic on YouTube, and I said, "Oh, this is so cool." And I was messing with some new tools that I bought at that time, like new plugins and stuff. And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna try to play with something here." So I just recorded myself like a sample, and that was the challenge for myself. So yeah, KINDAFUNK started as more of a challenge for myself. I started last year, and my challenge was to make one sample. This is KINDAFUNK. I recorded myself, sample it, and say, okay, I'm gonna do a whole track with this and see what happens. And you know, by the time I was listening a lot of Daftpunk again, I'm always listening to Daftpunk. It's one of those artists that you get tired of it, and like 3 months later you're listening again, you know,
yeah.
and you're listening new things, which is awesome. So I was listening Technologic, and just like hit me. It's okay, I'm gonna do something with that vibe, you know, very fun but kind of techy house funk.
Yeah, very different to Sweet and Sour, and very different to Açai, isn't it? They're very different.
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because you're obviously moving in a different direction now, or were you just kind of, are you just, you know, you just go with what feels right at the time? Is that how it works? Yeah.
Yeah, I even was making this interview with Mix Mag Brazil, and they asked me the same thing, like, why do you do like such a wide range of styles in your songs? And said, you know, I don't want to ever limit myself into one genre. I think house music is like the base. House, funk, and you know, disco are like my foundations, and on top of that I love to play with textures and themes and stories on top of that. And as long as you can dance and has floor to floor there, I think it's all good.
And I think it's interesting now because a lot of artists are moving genres, aren't they? That, you know, every album, you know, they have a mix of genres. So you have a look, don't you? And they are moving between genres because it makes it more interesting for the audience. And these days as well, quite often people don't necessarily, I mean, people are buying more vinyls now, aren't they? But gone are the days where you used to put a whole album on and listen to an album. So quite often these days you're just literally listening to a single. So one single might appeal to one audience and one single might appeal to another audience. So it's good to kind of spread your risk, I think.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and just as you said, try things out, because as an artist, you know, you don't really know, you're developing all the time, aren't you? You're not really sure, you know, the kind of things that, you know, the kind of sounds that you want to produce on a regular basis. So how would you describe your music then?
I think I would describe my music as a new house, new disco house, new funk house. I think there are, you know, there's no like one specific genre that I would point my fingers at, but it's basically between this spectrum of between house, funk house, disco, and I can even like flirt with tech house sometimes. Like KINDAFUNK has some tech house into it, you know, it's very tech heavy, very like Technologic, like tech sounds, you know.
Yeah.
So I think I like to flirt with both sides, like more organic, and I think I would go around that.
Yeah, sounds great. So what songs are you listening to now? I mean, you're saying that Daftpunk is probably one of your inspirations at the moment, isn't it? But what songs are you listening to at the moment?
I've been listening to so many weird stuff. Like,
Weird stuff.
Yeah,
I love
to
it.
be honest. No, to be honest, I mean, I'm always on top of the electronic charts, obviously, just because it's the market that I am. So I think it's at least a little like smart of my part to be like on top of things and see what people are doing, but not to like influence my music directly. Like, not that I'm gonna copy anybody, but more of a, okay, let's see what's happening in music in general, so I don't come like total like, what is going on? Like, dude, you're totally out of.
Elaborate on any of your work, or is it all you?
No, it's not all me. Like the past 4 songs that I released, 2 were collabs. Sweet and Sour, obviously, with Lisa. We split 50-50 everything. She did the lyrics, I did the music, but also I contributed with the music as well, with the lyrics. And she gave her notes on the music. So it was a very like collaborative work. With The Feeling, it was my first release of the year. It was a remix, but also a collaboration with one of the one of the composers of the song, Bradley, from Radio Media, and he basically guided me like, hey, we want a remix like this. I think you can do you, but let's go towards this. But I was very free to do my stuff too. And for the next song, actually, I'm gonna release. I'm just disclosing here first time. Disclosing here for the first time.
I like that.
It's gonna be a collaboration as well with the singer Eduardo Almondi. He's a great singer. He's from Kenya. Has such a unique voice. So yeah, you guys can expect some nice
Sounds
things.
exciting. And is that what sort of how can you explain what that's going to sound like, or do you know?
Yeah. I think until now I made a lot of upbeat songs, like very uplifting and very like dancing without any worry. And this one's gonna be my very, I think the most like on the other side, on the other spectrum, like more down, my downbeat, you know, more I would say thoughtful, you know, so very chill, and we have very like how can I say that, like involving, you know. It's not gonna be too like punchy, it's gonna be more involving, but still groovy.
So you've still got the funk going on, basically.
Yeah,
the funk.
always.
Well, I was going to say to you, what do you find it at the moment is the most exciting element of the disco funk scene? You know, what for you does really kind of you think, well, this is fantastic, this scene at the moment, because I love it, I absolutely adore it, and what element of it do you find really exciting at the moment?
I think what I'm loving to see in all the countries, I've been seeing in my country a lot, like in Brazil, we start accepting more our own language, because until now all the producers want just to produce in English because it's the most listened, you know, language in the world. Right now there are a lot of hits coming in Portuguese. I'm seeing like hits in African languages. I'm seeing hits in Asian languages, and that's, I think, the most exciting thing, you know, like people are like, let's do this. It's music overall, you know.
I think fantastic. I think, you know,
Exactly.
Why not? You know, I just think.
No.
I know that you may not understand that, you know, what they're saying, but who cares? You know, it still sounds fantastic music. So I think, you know, absolutely, I think we should go down that route, because we are, you know, multinational, and we don't always want to listen to stuff in English, do we? I don't necessarily. I'm going to ask you a question as well about KINDAFUNK. You said KINDAFUNK is an invitation for everyone to take themselves less seriously. I love that. And see the moment as an opportunity to do what you like, or even what you have to say, in a lighter and more positive way. I love that. That's fantastic. And also, I noticed that you hashtag house music saved my life. That's a bit like a DJ saved my life, isn't it?
Here it is.
I need a t-shirt like that. I need a t-shirt like that.
I send you one.
Absolutely, I love that. Yeah, that's fantastic. You know, because I was always a big clubber when I was younger, and spent my life, probably made me go a bit deaf in one ear, actually standing on the club scene like that.
Oh wow.
But you know, I worked at BBC for many years, and when I first got there, they used to do a little test on my ears, and I'm sure I was just pretending to press the buttons at the right time, even though I had no idea what I was pressing.
Oh wow.
I'm not going to let them tell me I'm deaf. Otherwise, I'll put delimited headphones on. What I was going to ask you about is, you've got this fantastic recipe on IG, haven't you, about your açai bowl. Being now based in LA, have you always been healthy, or is it LA that's making you healthier?
No, that goes back to my childhood, because I was a little chubby when I was a kid, and
I don't believe it.
I know, but that kind of traumatized me in some way, you know, like you've been bullied and all that. I always deal really well with bullies. Like at the end of the day, they became my friends because I was so nice to them. They didn't want to bully anymore, so okay, you're fine. And then I would join them. But you know, you had that residual bully in you, you know. So since then, I started working out at the same age that I started music. So like I was 13 when I joined a gym, and since then I never stopped, you know. So since then, my food intake, everything is very, very premeditated. Yeah, very thought through, you know. So I always try to eat the best food I can. I always work out 5 to 6 times a week, and that's my lifestyle now, you know. It's part of me. It's not even if I try to not be anymore, I probably can't.
Very much your kind of, you know, the way that you exist. It's not a diet, is it? You live your life like that, and
exactly.
You have a certain sort of idea about how you want to live your life. But doing sort of DJ sets, you probably sort of work late at night, so I imagine you probably have to stay healthy. I mean, I think a lot of musicians I talk to are extremely healthy. A lot of people think that they sort of, you know, burn the candle, you know, but they don't. They are actually quite healthy people because they have to, you know, be healthy, don't they? Because they are sort of working late nights. And
we have so many examples to teach us, I think, so far, right? We have so many people that die and they were so talented and their careers just ended because they had not good habits, you know. They had like bad vices and all that, and it just ended. I'm aiming for a long lasting career and make music with my life, you know. So if I cannot keep up with the routine of concerts and producing until like late nights and wake up at 5 a.m. and doing all that, it's not gonna happen.
And it's intense. The industry is getting even more intense, isn't it? And I think the competition is increasing. I mean, work in radio as well. I get what you're saying. It's really, really intense. There are late hours and there's late nights, and it is really, really difficult, isn't it? And particularly when you're doing stuff live, you know, it is. You've got to be on form, don't you? No drinking late at night. Although I did do that the other night with my radio presenters. We had a quick get together, and I had to do a show the next day. Surprisingly, it was okay.
No, I bet. I think once in a while, it's fine to burn yourself a little bit, you know, for a higher good. If you're celebrating something, why not? You know. Yeah.
Definitely don't make a habit of it. I was going to ask you, how do you keep your focus? Because obviously, when you're producing for a long period of time, you know, when I still work, I find it very hard to switch off. I will go and go and go and go until such time that I'm like literally dropped dead. So how do you maintain that kind of level of focus? And do you have like little sort of rules about stopping at a certain point in time?
No, definitely. I think throughout the years, the thing that I got better is to understand my productivity mode, you know, how I am the most productive, the time of the day. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. I try to, sometimes I slack a little bit, but I try to wake up really early so I can have the most done in the early morning when I have no distractions and we're fresher. So that's one thing I try to do. After 9, if I'm not feeling it's not something that is really important and there's no other way to do it, I don't work after 9. I just shut everything off. And I also try to do sprints of 2 hours, so I don't usually work more than 2 hours, even if I'm inspired or everything. I know that after 2 hour period for me is just an illusion. I'm just deluding myself that, oh, this is good, and you start getting, you know, that ear vice. You know, you can't hear clearly anymore. So I just stop by the 2 hour mark. Maybe you know, I'll go for a walk or workout and come later, but usually I limit myself to 2 hour sprints.
I think that's really interesting, and I think that's really interesting to sort of pass on to the younger generation who probably feel that, you know, they have to sort of, you know, produce for a long periods of time. And as you said, sometimes, you know, you get to the point when you've been doing it for some time that you realise actually those breaks are actually much more productive and actually still keeping on going.
Yeah, and that was varies from people to people. I have friends who they're very productive on the late night. You know, they start at 10 p.m. and they go until like 4 a.m. Like I could never do that. Like by 10, I'm dead. You know, and there are people that can
you're up
work
at 5.
Yeah, exactly. And there are people who like can do like long periods of work without being distracted.
You're originally from Brazil, okay? So I'm going to ask you my final question. But I wanted to know what it feels like for you to be in LA. What's the scene like there? I mean, because obviously you come from Brazil, but you've been living in LA for 5 years. How does it feel to live in LA and produce your music there? Is that something you've always wanted to do, or how does the scene feel now? And obviously it's been very different because it's been COVID, but how does it feel for you, the scene in LA? Is there somewhere else you'd like to be, in Europe, or are you sticking it now?
It feels like a dream. I planned this to move here a long time ago, and in 2016 I make it happen. You know, I sold everything I had. I had a dream job in São Paulo, in Brazil as well. I worked with great people there in music. I was producing music for a living, you know, so I had like the perfect job. But at the same time, I felt like the need to step up in some way in my career, and meet new people, meet new circumstances in my life. So I decided to make the move. Sold everything, came here, and then I went to UCLA to study film scoring, and then I graduated there in 2017, and since then I've been, you know, just living the music life here. You know?
The LA dream, as I would say.
The LA dream,
hey?
yeah. Trying. It's every day, every day.
Yeah.
You have to make it happen. It's due every day, you know. Rent is due every day.
You know, I would like to be living the LA dream. I do have some friends who live out in LA, and they are living the LA dream. A friend of mine who lives up on the mountainside in a beautiful house there, and she sends me, well, she's on Instagram putting these sunsets up, and I'm like,
wow.
Stop it. I live in the UK and it's raining or hailing and pouring. I don't want to see it.
Right.
She's a fellow Australian friend of mine. We dance together. So yes, it is. I can imagine that LA is absolutely fantastic. So I can't imagine you wanting to be anywhere else. So I have visited LA, but only once. So I will be back there.
I think also answering your question, I want to go to Europe very bad. I am half Portuguese, so I have Portuguese citizenship as well. So I can go anytime. I just didn't have the chance, and COVID hit and everything. So I don't want to just risk it. Okay, you cannot enter the United States again. You know, all the immigration.
We're allowed to go to Portugal in the UK. That's one of the places we're allowed to go at the moment. It is. They said Portugal you can go to. Everywhere else, no.
Exactly.
Come over. You'll be fine to go to Portugal. They'll probably let you back in America if you do.
Exactly.
You'll be absolutely fine. Thank you so much for joining me today, Will, on Fridays with Yaya. We're going to be playing KINDAFUNK, and we're also, what other song would you like us to play for you today? One of your tracks. Which one? Sweet and Sour?
Let's do Sweet and Sour. I think the two last, I think they're...
Yeah, I think so too. I think they'll love that, actually. And when you're on my show, you do get quite a lot of plays, subsequent shows as well, because I just like that. I'm just like that. So I'll get through all your songs as well. So don't worry about it. We'll make sure that they go on. And when your new track comes on, I'll be playing that one as well. So thank you so much. It's lovely to meet you, and good luck with everything. And I look forward to your new track coming out in, when's it coming out?
It's coming out, I have to check the dates because I have everything in my schedule. It's probably end of June, I would say.
Very soon, yeah. That'd be fantastic. Well, we look forward to it. Thank you very much. And I hope everything goes well for you in LA, and maybe sometime see you over here in Europe, and we can go and have a little dance together.
We will, I promise.
Take care.
Thank you.
Will.
Take care.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.